Hello, it's What the Doodle here, and in today's session, we're going to have a look at AI code assistants. And obviously, I've seen them in production and I've seen other developers use them. For myself, I'm not really all that sort of interested in them, and I haven't found them to be that particularly useful. But anyway, recently there was a particular case where I got curious. I thought I had a bit of Kotlin code and I wanted to quickly translate that to Rust, and I thought I'll just give it a test to see how it goes. So this is the actual well, it's not this exact code, but I've sort of stripped it down a little bit, but it was something akin to this, and sort of a kind of the thing does sort of semantic analysis. And so I reached out, and I'm going to be using, well, what I used anyway was Kotlin, Google Gemini. I'm not entirely sure how that's pronounced, but anyway, it seems to be free if you have a Google account. So I thought, why not? And when I did this, when I did this originally, it was absolutely atrocious. And this was only just a few days ago. However, obviously, since I've tried it again, and it seems to be the results you get is so random. You don't. It's not. There isn't. It doesn't seem to be any consistency. But anyway, let's try with the prompt. So we'll say something like, "I will provide you with some code. Please convert this into Rust code." So what we'll do is we will go back, we will copy all of that, and we will paste. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so it's doing something. Scroll. Oh, it looks like it's already done it. Okay, so it's saying, here's the converted Rust code for the provided Java code. It's not Java, it's Kotlin. Well, at least it got this bit right. Previously, it didn't even have that. And let's have a look. Yeah, okay. I don't think that. Yeah, that's not even a regex. So, okay, that bit's fine. This seems to sort of fine-ish. And why is it using a hash set? What on earth is it doing? Well, yeah, it's understood the semantic comparison. So obviously, there is obviously code out there floating in GitHub somewhere or wherever the data set it's pulled from. Let's have a look at some of the other, because this stuff is not even using a regex when it's meant to be a regex there. And let's have a look. Let's have a look at other drafts, because oftentimes you have to flick through a whole load of different variations to see something that is somewhat close to what you actually wanted. And this is more of a faff than that. It's more of a in terms of it's less of a productivity than less of a productivity gain. Okay, this at least includes regex, so this we're on we're onto something here. Okay, so yeah, the struct seems to be somewhat okay. Yep, that's all fine. Yeah, this is at least now including at least creating a regex, although it's trying to lazily create a regex. I'm not sure why. That's probably because it's trying to follow very somewhat closely to the original Kotlin, where this was kind of statically instantiated. So it's trying to do something similar. Let's have a look. Okay, let's copy this. Let's just see how it goes anyway. Let's see. Does it even compile? We shall see. So let's open a new terminal. Let's make that a little bit bigger so you guys can see. So let's clear that. I clearly can't type today. So we'll create a new project. So we'll do new bin. Let's call this semantic. Jump into that and fire up the IDE, or it's text editor to be specific. Let's close that. We don't need that anymore. And let's go into the main file. Let's put that in there. And this would be hilarious. Let's see how this. It's not going to compile. Or let's have a look. How far does it go in terms of compilation? So cargo run. And it doesn't compile. It's completely broken, which is expected. Right, let's have a look. This is not even in scope. Okay. Right, all right. So let's be a little bit kind to it, because we are going to need the regex crate. So let's just add regex. Okay, that's been added, and what I shall do is just help it out a little bit because it's so badly broken. Is we'll grab all of this stuff, and we shall put that in here. And what we'll do is we'll just change these into let bindings instead of making them static. We don't need any of that. Let's get rid of that because I don't even know which specifically crate that's using or if that's using. So yeah, yeah, that's probably fine. Yeah, let's see if that compiles now. It's be amazing if it all compiles. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. Oh dear, dear. Too uppercase. Oh dear, dear. I mean, that's not. where, where did? Oh dear, dear. So yeah, of course, there is no such thing as two uppercase. I mean, that's straight from Kotlin, and it's just. Oh dear, dear. Implement SA. What's it doing? Yeah. Why is it? I mean, it's a total mess. It's an absolute mess. But yeah, this is a total mess. Of course, you could spend a lot of time, fixing it up, and it isn't entirely possible. Of course, I was being overly optimistic that it would compile straight away and on the first go, but that clearly isn't the case. But this is essentially, and this is the thing. I was able to actually, after spending a lot of faffing around and fixing a lot of code up, the original test that I did, I was actually able to get it to compile. However, the actual logic itself was completely incorrect. So the logic itself was broken, and this is the issues. This is one of the reasons or things like this where I'm not a fan of this, because something like translation, you don't actually need AI. You'd think that this would be an area where AI could potentially excel, but actually turns out it can be really bad. I mean, it's okay for natural. It's almost okay for natural languages, because natural language is a lot more. It's a lot kinder because we can just about you can have quite a lot of noise in natural language and still be able to make sense of quite a lot of things in terms of intention of what somebody meant to say. So even if it's badly translated, us our human brain is we're so flexible that we're able to understand that. But when it comes to computer programming languages, this is very, very specific. And for example, IntelliJ, if you were to take IntelliJ does machine translation, but it's not AI based. As far as I understand it, I don't think it is AI based. Where if you copy a chunk of Java code and you paste it into the IDE, it will automatically convert that into Kotlin, and it's it's very, very accurate, and it's very deterministic, and it's very precise. It doesn't always get it 100% right. There may be a few things that it doesn't quite get right, but it's not based on a statistical model. Whereas this stuff is, I mean, to give you an idea here, like for some random reason, it thought it has no understanding of the language. So, for example, this is completely illegal. This doesn't exist whatsoever. But because in the vast amount of code that is out there, statistically, it's people were doing these kind of method calls, chaining these bunch of method calls somewhat similar to this, and it's just somehow picked that up, and so it has no real understanding. It has no real understanding. And for example, like why is it adding all of these? This is completely unnecessary for all of these ones. And of course, it's just because it has no understanding. It doesn't actually understand the code. There's no comprehension going whatsoever, and it's just putting together something that looks right, and then it'll just hallucinate whatever the rest of it, you know. And I mean, like dedupe, what's it doing? Sort unstable. What is this? And yeah, it's just yeah, this is just wrong. It's just so wrong. Um, and this is on a small chunk of code. I would worry what that would be on a much larger chunk of code. And trying to use this on in production, in if you have a code base, and it's not a productivity gain. This is a productivity drain, because you'd spend so much time, because you would have to review every single part of it. You know, be, you absolutely just can't take it at face value. And I think if you have obviously a statically compiled language, you potentially have a shot at actually making the whole thing work, because you can just follow the compiler errors, and you can fix it up until it compiles, and then you could go in and potentially add tests and whatnot, just to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do, and then fix it up even more. By the time you've done all that, you probably, by the time you wasted and burnt all those hours, you would have been better off potentially just writing it yourself in the first instance. But imagine doing that at scale on a very large code base. I can't just see. I don't see the point really. I can see maybe as like certain, if you have certain snippets of code, and it can be helpful, to try and kind of point you in the direction of something, and maybe in those areas is fine, and you can maybe cycle through it, giving you in terms of suggestions. But that's as far as I can see it going in terms of giving you suggestions, because as I said, all of these AI code assistants, they are completely dumb. They have no intelligence. I mean, it's really laughable that it says artificial intelligence. It's not. It's just essentially like a dumb parrot. It's just regurgitating code, which statistically could be, close to what you're doing. There's a distance between what you're doing statistically and other tokens that is found in that neighborhood, if you like. And of course, if your stuff that you're doing are in the data set, and obviously because the data set is so large, it looks like as if it knows what it's doing, but there is no intelligence whatsoever. There's no comprehension, absolutely no comprehension, because I mean, this right here, this is completely not in the Rust. It's not a method. It's not a method in Rust. I mean, the fact that Rust doesn't use camel case like this anyway is illegal. That should have been a giveaway. But essentially, yeah. So that is my sort of after doing all of these sort of little quick tests. That's my sort of review of that. And I would say that AI code assistance, if you find it useful, that's good. But if you have to rely on it, wow, you're in big trouble. I think you're going to be in you're going to be in a world of pain essentially. And a lot of this hype that you hear, and all of this kind of fear that's kind of driven about, AI is going to replace software engineers. It's not going to happen, not anytime soon. It's so far, in terms of, because you have to understand what it is. It's just statistical models, and yeah, it's I would say it's amazing how far that it seems to like be able to generate like the suggestions and everything. But then again, I think, well, how would that be any different to if you went to GitHub or something and it did a search around for examples for that particular code suggestion that you want? I think that's probably where it helps. I think it skips out that step in terms of having to do that search. So what it does is it accelerates that part of it, so you don't have to search through entire large corpus of code examples, and it helps in that regard. So what essentially is, this is almost like Google 2.0, or a vastly better search engine, because it's able to search that huge vast that corpus, if you like, all of that data that's trained in, and all those tokens that are trained, and it's able to search all of that effectively, very effectively, because it sort of finds correlations that are close to the things that you're typing into, or the code that you're typing into. And so it is, in that sense, it's pretty amazing how far it seems to go. But it's just, I would not trust this as far as I could throw this. And yeah, that's just that's what I take from it. So use it very sparingly, but please check this stuff. Don't just use Code Assistant and then just deploy it straight into production or something like that. That's a recipe for disaster. So anyway, until next time, I'll see you on the next one.